Hour 106.
No man is an island entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, a part of the main. If a clod be washed away by the sea, Europe is the less, as well as if a promontory were, as well as if a manor of thy friends or of thine own were. Any man's death diminishes me, because I am involved in mankind, and therefore never send to find for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee.
I made up my mind to do good all the time. Cause all the time I find myself walking on the line. When I was a little boy, my parents used to say, a man must do good all the time, all the time, all the time. I would like to find a friend who really has the love. Good friend in this world is very hard to find. I know there is a future, and I've got to find a way. I want to do good all the time, all the time, all the time. Yeah, I said it once before, and I can say it once again. Things I used to do, I don't do them anymore. Yes, I used to go, I don't go there anymore. Yeah, I said it once before, and I can say it twice again. Yeah, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Yeah, I made up my mind to do good all the time. Cause all the time I found myself walking on the line. When I was a little boy, my parents used to say, a man must do good all the time, all the time, all the time. I would like to find a friend who really have the love. Good friend in this world is very hard to find. I know there is a future.
That's still the first rotation. That's still the first rotation. It's the International Decade of Healthy Aging, the International Decade of Ecosystem Restoration, the International Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, the Decade of Action for Road Safety, and 2022 marks the start of the UN International Decade of Indigenous Languages. It's the 13th day of the first month of 2022, the International Decade of, in fact, the International Year of Sustainable Mountain Development, the International Year of Basic Sciences for Sustainable Development, the International Year of Glass, and the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture. In the United States, January is being observed as Human Trafficking Awareness Month and Mentorship Month. This month is also Soup Month and Earthquake Awareness Month here in Jamaica. In fact, this is Earthquake Awareness Week 2022. It's Defenders of Freedom Day in Lithuania, Liberation Day in Togo, Saint Melania's Day in the Ukraine, Orthodox New Year in Serbia, and Sikhs around the world are observing Magi in Sikhism. Hoy es jueves, el 13 de enero 2022. Y les saludamos en cualquier parte del mundo que nos están escuchando en este momento. Estamos muy agradecidos por el don de la vida y el privilegio de servirles en otra edición de su programa, Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia. Nunca vamos a tomar su audiencia por sentado porque sabemos que ustedes tienen otras opciones. Y esta es la razón por la cual jamás olvidamos darle las gracias por elegir Both Sides of the Story, ambos lados de la historia, de lunes a viernes, desde las 2 hasta las 5 de la tarde, aquí en Power 106 FM. La misión continúa para educar, capacitar, iluminar y estimular el espíritu empresarial. Bienvenidos. C'est jeudi le 13 janvier 2022 et nous vous saluons tous qui nous écoutent où que vous soyez dans le monde. Nous sommes reconnaissants du don de la vie ainsi que du privilège d'être votre service pour une nouvelle édition de votre programme Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre. Nous ne considérons pas votre fidélité comme l'un de soi parce que nous savons que vous avez l'embarras du choix. C'est pourquoi nous n'oublions jamais de vous remercier de choisir d'écouter Both Sides of the Story, le pour et le contre, du lundi au vendredi de 2h à 5h de l'après-midi sur notre antenne Power 106 FM. Nous continuons notre mission d'éduquer, d'habiliter, d'éclairer et d'encourager l'esprit d'entreprise. Bienvenue. Sir?
Listen to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:15.
The Jamaica Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority, JACRA, is now being onboarded to the Jamaica Single Window for Trade, J-SWIFT. Effective January 10, 2022, J-SWIFT will be facilitating online applications for all JACRA import permit releases. Traders and their agents will now be able to make online payments for JACRA cess. Benefits will include faster processing times and increased convenience, facilitating trade and doing business. No more walk-ins or waiting in lines. The JACRA Import Permit Release Service, effective January 10, 2022 on J-SWIFT.
Consumer Talks
educating and empowering consumers towards a more vigilant and confident consumer-friendly Jamaica. Join us every second and last Tuesday of each month at 9:35 on Real Business. Listen and learn about your rights and responsibilities. Learn how the CAC works to empower consumers in Jamaica. Consumer Talks, brought to you by the Consumer Affairs Commission. Protecting your rights, securing our future.
Say, all we're saying, of course, if you missed all that we said before the break in Spanish and French, all we're saying is it's Thursday, the 13th of January, 2022, and we greet you well, wherever in the world you are listening to us right now. We remain eternally grateful for the gift of life and the privilege to serve you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story. We don't ever take your listenership for granted because we know you have choices, and that's why we never ever forget to remember to say thanks for choosing to listen to Both Sides of the Story, Monday to Friday, 2 to 5, right here on Power 106 FM. The mission continues to educate, empower, enlighten, and encourage entrepreneurship. Welcome. We welcome those of you listening to us on 106.1, 106.3, 106.5, 106.7, and 106.9. From Moran Point to Negril Point, from the Goat Islands to Galena Point. This is Power 106 FM, serving Jamaica and the diaspora. Hello to those tuned in via the Power 106 FM app, which you can download from the App Store or the Google Play Store, depending on the nature of your device. Downloading is free, listening is free, wherever, whenever. We thank you if you have dialed one of two designated numbers to listen to Power 106 FM from the United States and the United Kingdom. Those in the United States who wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM, your number is 631 359 8281. That's 631 359 8281. And those in the United Kingdom who wish to dial a number to listen to Power 106 FM can call us on 0330 606 0952. This afternoon, we have a special link with members of the diaspora in the United Kingdom. After all, this is both sides of the story of Jamaicans at home and abroad. And as it turns out, International Social Work Recruitment with OSF International Social Care Services hosting a very special program, which is happening right now and features key representatives from the Jamaican diaspora in the UK. It's at a time such as this where there's a serious demand, a significant demand for social care workers. In fact, right now, the word is social care workers are needed in the United Kingdom. And it's an opportunity to hear about opportunities in the United Kingdom for social care professionals, to find out about support with visas and relocation costs, The conference is for social workers and professionals from the Caribbean, not least of all here in Jamaica, to support the staffing shortfall in the UK social care industry. And we know right away there are Jamaicans listening and going, there we go again. These rich countries taking away our people, and the brain drain continues. It's the reality of the times, and people go where opportunities are. And so let's listen in on the social care workers conference, which is happening right now in the UK. Zoom. Not on air.
For granted. Some of these can become real issues for those of us who are new to the United Kingdom. For example, the simple matter of having to ensure that you have a TV license in order to watch the television, use the computer, surf the internet. Although it says TV license, you don't have to have a television in your house, but as long as you listen to the radio, you watch cable streams on the internet, you use your phone to do anything on the internet, you will be charged the TV license. You need to know these things. There's an NHS surcharge, of course, of persons who come to live and work, even temporarily, in the UK, to cover the cost of health care under the public health system in the UK. You need to be aware of some of the costs that you will have to pay up front before you get here. You need to know whether or not you will have to pay those costs, or if those persons who are recruiting you will foot those costs and it will be recouped from your salary. There's also the matter of council taxes. As long as you live in any residence within the UK, council taxes will be due. These go towards the collection of waste, street lighting, the maintenance of roads, and it is not the property owner who has responsibility for it, but actually the occupant of the residence. These are but a few of the things that you need to ensure that you are aware of. So please ensure that you do your research. It is also important that the terms and conditions of contracts are clear and detailed so that there can be no misunderstanding about hours of work and remuneration. Be clear as to whether on holidays or on off time you will also be paid. If something happens and you're not able to get work for a period, will you be paid? How will you survive during that period? These are things you must ensure that you're clear on. Opportunities exist, but please ensure that in the pursuit of those opportunities, you do not put yourself in a disadvantageous situation. That being said, I again thank the One Step Forward Foundation and team headed by Mrs. Mackenzie for organizing today's session. Mrs. Patricia Mackenzie Thomas and her team have focused primarily on the very important issues of child protection and providing adequate training for Jamaicans and persons from the Caribbean who wish to become part of this profession. Her organization has made tremendous strides over the years. We applaud the outreach activities that include exchange programs with social workers in the US, the UK, and other countries. We acknowledge the visit to Jamaican social service agencies and institutions to discuss and share best practices. It is therefore left for me to wish for you a pleasant and informative session. Good evening.
You're listening there to Jamaica's Deputy High Commissioner in London, Mrs. Patrice Laird Grant, speaking at a conference of the International Social Work Recruitment Program with the One Step Forward International Social Care Services. It's looking at opportunities, job opportunities, and related opportunities in the United Kingdom, especially in relation to social care services. If you have relatives, friends, colleagues in the UK, you might want to bring this to their attention, what is happening right now. Or if you're right here in Jamaica and shopping around for opportunities elsewhere in the world, not least of all in the United Kingdom, give a listening ear to this conference that's happening right now. I believe the next speaker is Ms. Desireen A. Taylor, Minister Consular, Diaspora and Consular Affairs at the Jamaican High Commission. We'll hear from her in a little while. In the meantime, I would imagine between Patricia Mackenzie Thomas and Corey Hyde, the co-chairs of the program, they are giving their input throughout as well. So let's hear Corey Hyde.
Not just an individual, but a nation. So reiterating, it's not about assets and stripping at all, but there comes a time when you are needed and that call has been made and you have to step up, answer that call. At this point, we are going to look at recruitment and retention in social work. And we'll be looking at potential employers. So this is where a lot of the social workers who are online right now, they're popping up. They are waiting to hear how the recruitment process and how they can be retained in that space. So we were going to individuals who oversees recruitment for London boroughs to take charge of this aspect. And we go first to, of course, Mr. Michael Perennial Daly, who gave us that opening prayer. And he's in charge of the safeguarding team. He's a safeguarding team manager for the London Borough of Lambeth. And I spent quite a number of years in Lambeth. I got a run up and down in Lambeth. It's a great experience, and it is so diverse. And to build an individual, build a character, I think that's one of the places that you can actually cut your teeth and cut your craft, working in Lambeth. And I see Michael is laughing there. So we're ready for you. Ready for you. The social workers are ready for you. We're ready for you in this conference. Sir, it's all yours. Take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you, Corey. I've just done a little presentation, and Patricia's asked me to kind of give kind of a little 10-minute spiel on what it's like in terms of working in Lambeth and what a team manager would expect. And I suppose for you guys potentially coming over, thinking about interview process and what managers would want to hear in interviews and want to see that you would be willing or know how to do already. So I'm going to share my screen. I hope I don't have any technical issues, but I'm going to give it a go. So let me know if you can all see this.
Yeah, I see that.
Just give me a thumbs up. Yeah, we're good? Awesome. All right, so as you guys have already known, my name is Michael Daly. I'm one of the team managers in Lambeth Children's Social Care. To give you a bit about myself, I'm married. My heritage is Black Caribbean. My father's Jamaican and my mother is St. Lucian. So, it's interesting that I'm here in this conference today. So I do have a lot of roots in Jamaica. My heart's with Jamaica. I love the country, love the food. So it's wonderful.
Listening there to Michael Perino Daly, as you heard, father Jamaican, mother St. Lucian, and he is the safeguarding team manager for the London Borough of Lambeth, and he is one of the participants in this conference on international social work recruitment, organized by One Step Forward International Social Services.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:30.
The Jamaica Agricultural Commodities Regulatory Authority, JACRA, is now being onboarded to the Jamaica Single Window for Trade, J-SWIFT. Effective January 10, 2022, J-Swift will be facilitating online applications for all JACRA import permit releases. Traders and their agents will now be able to make online payments for JACRA cess. Benefits will include faster processing times and increased convenience, facilitating trade and doing business. No more walk-ins or waiting in lines. The JACRA Import Permit Release Service, effective January 10, 2022 on J-Swift.
The following is a public service announcement from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security. The Ministry of Labour and Social Security is advising the public that limited services will be offered at the newly relocated office at 4 Sam Sharp Square, Montego Bay, from Wednesday, September 1 through to Friday, September 3. The Ministry appreciates your kind understanding and expects full service to be restored on Monday, September 6. The Ministry apologizes for the inconvenience this may cause. That was a public service announcement from the Ministry of Labour and Social Security.
Consumer Talks, educating and empowering consumers towards a more vigilant and confident consumer-friendly Jamaica. Join us every second and last Tuesday of each month at 9:35 on Real Business. Listen and learn about your rights and responsibilities. Learn how the CAC works to empower consumers in Jamaica. Consumer Talks, brought to you by the Consumer Affairs Commission, protecting your rights, securing our future.
Cause all the time I found myself walking on the line.
It's a special edition of Both Sides of the Story here on Poro 106 FM, the story of Jamaicans at home and abroad. One Step Forward Consultancy is a registered company offering a service with a difference in child protection, children's services with immigration and consultancy, incorporating UK visa applications. And they've been in the field for about 20 years. Their primary focus, though, is on safeguarding and child protection issues relating and issues relating to children and families. And they're hosting a conference right now in the UK looking at social care workers and the needs in that sector right now in the UK. In fact, the United Kingdom is actively recruiting people for social care professions. And they're using the opportunity of this special conference to share as much information as possible so that broader community, not just Jamaicans in the diaspora or Jamaicans here at home, but all those who are listening will be able to learn about the process, what's involved, and therefore prepare themselves if they hope to take up these opportunities in the United Kingdom. Now, going to the break, we were listening to Mr. Michael Perino Daly, whose father is Jamaican, but mother St. Lucian. And but his father is Jamaican, his mother is St. Lucian. And Michael Perino Daly is a safeguarding team manager in the London borough of Lambeth. And he's been sharing some useful advice to those listening in and watching. Let's listen.
Changes with families. So, for example, Milan's systemic family therapy, the 3 components of that is curiosity, hypothesizing, and applying circularity when working with families. Social graces. So you heard me talk a bit about myself earlier on, and that's one of the approaches that we use in social work. One, to recognize our biases, but also to kind of think about what the similarities and differences are between ourselves and service users. And there's a quadrant, and please forgive me if the font is too small, but there's a quadrant that talks about the voice, the unvoiced, the visible and invisible. And that quadrant is actually used as a direct work tool when working with families to kind of think about how could I explore the levels of communication in terms of bringing about change. So, for example, if there's issues around disabilities, there's issues around mental illness, which could be invisible for some. How do I bring that out, bring that to the focus? Another thing that is used extensively in social work is in London, and I'm sure it's probably used over in Jamaica as well, as the genogram. And even when you're thinking about interviewing, managers like to hear that social workers are using genograms to map out the family's journey, and thinking about the particular patterns and scripts that has been in family life. So the systemic approach or systemic thinking is one of the major models, I would argue, that is used across a lot of the London boroughs. So that's one of the things that I would actually, say to kind of just familiarize yourself with. So the service area that I work in is the Family Support and Child Protection team, and I manage one of them. And I work with families under Child in Need. So that's where we would work with families voluntary, where there are concerns that if the local authority are not involved, the child's development could be impaired. It doesn't necessarily mean that a child is at risk when we're working with them under what we will call Child in Need. And the section for that under the Children's Act is Section 17. So what that constitutes doing monthly visits to families, thinking about the interventions when you're working with families, working alongside your Child in Need plan, which is done collaboratively with families and with the multi-agency, and that's normally reviewed every, say, 8 to 12 weeks with the multi-agency. I also work with families under child protection. And this is where it gets a bit heavier, in a sense that where we would deem a young person or a child at risk or experience significant harm, and that's the key phrase. So normally that comprises of a case being brought to child protection conference, where we are with the whole multi-agency, and a decision is made based on the evidence from an assessment to determine whether that child is at risk of significant harm or not. And within the context of the child protection arena, you would do regular child protection visits every 10 working days. You would have regular child protection reviews. The first review after the initial conference is after 3 months, and then 6 months prior to that. And even before even getting to that stage, there are many different services that's in children's services. For example, the assessment services, where they initially assess whether social work intervention is needed or not. And that's where the cases will come through to my service. So when a social worker in the assessment service deems that, this family needs more social work intervention, it gets referred to my team. In addition to child protection, I also work with families under the public law outline. So the public law outline is one threshold above child protection, but you still work within the child protection framework. The public law outline is also known as pre-proceedings. So that's where we will give families or parents like one more chance in terms of proving their parental capacity. And normally what we would do, we would commission experts assessments, whether that would be parenting assessments, whether that would be psychiatric or psychological assessments, and whether that would be a child and family or adolescent assessment, to really give us a sense of really what's happening within family life, so we can then determine, can this family do it, or do we need to now go into proceedings? And we also work with families under the court arena, and we aim to complete proceedings within 26 weeks, so 6 months of the year. And normally we could work with a family under two different types or a few different types of orders. One could be an interim supervision order. One could be an interim care order. An interim supervision order is where a child remains in the home or probably remains with a family member, and the local authority do not share parental responsibility. An interim care order, on the other hand, is where the local authority will share parental responsibility for a child, and that child becomes a looked after child. So when we're in court proceedings, the main aim is to achieve permanence. And permanence is basically one of the buzzwords when we're working with families, whether the child goes back, is reunified with the family, or whether the child is coming into the care of the local authority. And obviously, because of due to time, I can't really go too much into that. And I'm sure Patricia will do some work with you around that. But early permanence and thinking about permanence and parallel planning is absolutely crucial when working with families, especially in terms of what a team manager would want to see. I would want to see from my social workers, are you reflective? Are you thinking about parallel plans? Are you, in terms of your risk management, are you aware whether the family can do it or not? So, I mean, that early permanence is vital. So, my expectation of social workers. Now, I mean, Corey, he took the words out of my mouth. My borough, Lambeth, is a very complex borough. And one of the things that we would require social workers to have is resilience. Now, Patricia mentioned some of the struggles and the challenges that's actually happening in London at the moment, and in terms of social workers, their inability to remain in the job due to the complexities, due to the stress, and even, and being real, some of the systems that we work under can be quite complex to navigate through. But one of the things that a team manager would want to see, on another note, is resilience. So how does a social worker manage themselves through difficult periods? How does a social worker manage themselves? This is what I say to my team: when you're in the trenches, when you're just about to go onto the front line and absolutely everything's piling on top of you. What do you do outside of social work to help build your resilience? Is it church? Is it extracurricular activities? Is it hobbies? Is it gym? Is it cycling? These are the things that actually help to build resilience. And on top of that, within my role, what I would do for my social workers is supervision, group supervision, reflective supervision, in a sense where we're thinking about impact, and we're thinking about how has this work with family impact your feelings, and what feelings come up for you that could be impacting your role in decision making. So resilience is vital when we're working with children and families, and being able to demonstrate that in an interview is key, because managers want to see resilient practitioners. Another area that's very, very critical and key is collaborative and assertive working when working with families. I always call it care and candor. Being caring and being kind, but also being very candid with families and demonstrating that level of assertiveness, especially when we're dealing with families, children that are at risk. And that's really, really key. But working collaboratively, helping the family to come along the journey, ensuring that child comes along the journey, understanding the child's lived experience, understanding the child's journey through the system is critical. And being able to have an understanding of that and demonstrating that in an interview, giving examples, i.e., for example, maybe using direct work tools, which I've got down at the bottom, or thinking about the types of intervention that you use, whether you use psychodynamic or you use a cognitive-based intervention. It is key in order to get the families buy-in, because if the family don't buy in, as we know, interventions will not be as meaningful. Another aspect, and for me, in terms of my expectation of social workers, what I would want to see is risk management.
We'll hear more on that subject from Michael Perino Daly, a Jamaican father, St. Lucian mother, his current position, safeguarding team manager in Lambeth in London. He's participating in a social work conference that is happening right now. and it's organized by One Step Forward Consultancy, which is a social work consultancy company focusing primarily on safeguarding and child protection issues relating to children and families. More in a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
2:45.
Waiting on your receivables, waiting to purchase raw materials to fulfill your next order, waiting to get paid for goods already sold. 60 days, 90 days, invoices way past due. What if you could be insured for up to 85% of your domestic and foreign receivables? So that if you don't get paid on time, your biggest priority, your business, will not have to wait. Trade credit insurance. Insurance worth having. Credit without waiting. Exim Bank. By helping businesses, we save lives and livelihoods.
NIS pensioners, early encashment continues. Pension order vouchers with payable dates in January 2022 may be encashed as of
Just so
January
you can
6th.
follow.
Collect all your January payments at your
Just so you can
convenience.
follow.
Simply visit your designated post office. Remember, pension vouchers can only be encashed at post offices. A message from the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Very hard to find. I know there is a future, and I've got to find a way to keep on doing good all the time, all the time, all the time. Hallelujah.
Thanks a lot for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. I'm Dervan Malcolm, One Step Forward Consultancy, OSF. You remember them. They normally host an International Safeguarding Children conference here in Jamaica. So we'd normally have Jamaicans and friends of Jamaica from the UK flying into Jamaica and putting on this conference. And it's been, well, last year it was virtual. And so this year now, social work is the area of focus. This particular conference that's happening right now, organized by One Step Forward Consultancy, the same organization, as we said, that normally puts together the Safeguarding Children Conference. And the presenter is still Michael Perrineau. That's Michael Perrineau Daly, Safeguarding Team Manager in the London Borough of Lambeth, making his contribution to this conference. Issues being looked at: recruitment and retention in social work overseas, as well as recruitment for UK children's social care services. So if you have an interest, listen in. More in a moment.
Example of this: if I go into a GP surgery and my waiting time is supposed to be 10 minutes, but I'm there for half an hour, I'm gonna complain. So I look at KPIs as similar to that. That actually KPIs need to be looked at as providing a service to our children and our young people, and actually behind every statistic, every number, every key performance indicator is a child. So what do I mean by that? It's basically, do we do our assessments in a timely manner? So for example, if assessment is 45 working days, is it in before 45 working days? If a court report needs to be done and when we have court directions, are we meeting those directions on time? Are we providing the service we need to provide for our families? Because not only are we accountable to the DFE in terms of our KPIs, in terms of, and there's a whole range, and I'm sure Patricia will go through that with you in your training, but it's about also being accountable to our families and ensuring that we provide a service for them to meet outcomes, to meet good outcomes, good outcomes in health, good outcomes in education, and good outcomes in their social development. And there are a lot more in terms of my expectations, but I know due to time is of the essence, so I'm not going to stay too long. So my last one is the use of intervention and tools when working with families. So sometimes when social workers are in the trenches, sometimes it's easy to miss that. It's easy to just get into the motion of doing. But what me as a manager, or what managers want to see, is how creative are we? Are we thinking interventions across our 12 visits before the review conference? So are we thinking about using tools for domestic violence, using tools for mental health if we're working with families with mental health? Are we thinking about direct work tools with families to really, or with children, to really gather and gain that lived experience of the child? You know, how do we build that relationship with families? And how, not only how do we do that, but how do we evidence it on the system? One of the things that social workers, even in London, need to get better at, and this is not a dig, but it's evidencing the beautiful work that they do on the system as well. So for me, it's the use of interventions and direct work tools when working with children and families. So I know time is of the essence. So my next slide is questions.
An awesome presentation.
You're listening there to Michael Perrineau Daly, Safeguarding Team Manager in the London Borough of Lambeth. Mr. Perrineau Daly is Jamaican. His mother is St. Lucian. His father is Jamaican. And he's one of the presenters in the International Social Work Recruitment Conference with One Step Forward International Social Care Services. And they're pretty much laying the foundation for their 2022 program of activities. The areas of focus: recruitment and retention in social work overseas, as well as the recruitment for UK children social care services. The conference chairs are Mrs. Patricia Mackenzie Thomas, founder and director of One Step Forward OSF and OSF International Social Care Services Limited, and Mr. Corey Hyde, One Step Forward OSF partner and director of OSF International Social Care Services Limited. We've already heard from Mrs. Patrice Laird Grant, the Deputy High Commissioner at the Jamaican High Commission in London. And we have been hearing, as we said, from Michael Perrineau Daly, Safeguarding Team Manager at the London Borough of Lambeth. Corey Hyde is once again making his contribution to the conference. Let's listen.
The opportunities are quite vast as we go through some of them this afternoon, and I believe, Patricia, that we will need to do another session pretty soon. At this point, you've heard the recruitment and retention in social work, from Mr. Perrineau Daly. Forgive me, Michael, if I don't have that last name.
That's fine. Cool. I think there's actually one question in the chat, actually. I mean, I think someone said about cases. How much cases do they have? Is it okay if I just respond to that?
Of course.
Yeah. So the DFE, the average case is 18 allocations of children. However, it can vary in each local authority, and it is known for social workers to have 20, sometimes 22. Whilst we appreciate that is a lot of children, that sometimes is the nature of the job. We work with very complex families, and our doors are not closed. So it's roughly between 18 and 22, and sometimes it could be a bit more depending on the local authority that you work in, especially in my sector of children's services. I hope that answers the question.
So the question back to the participants, delegates that are here, that's actually in practice right now. Is that something that you're familiar with, in your current practice, wherever the Caribbean that you're working? Is that something that you're used to, the 18 and 22 cases? Ponder that and have your response in the chat. And a little bit later, we'll ask participants to open their mic for that participation. As we touch on the readiness and return to social work and the program that underpins that interest, we'll be having that guest speaker from Kingston University in the United Kingdom. That's Dr. Wilson Maria, Head of the Department, Associate Professor, Department of Social Work and Social Care. And I don't think he has ever been to the Caribbean, but this is the point right now, Michael, that we're going to give him a baptism into the Caribbean setting. It's so many of the Caribbean people all gathered in one place under one accord for this conference. So, Dr. Wilson Malaya, the stage is yours, sir. Welcome to the Caribbean.
Thank you.
Your presentation.
Thank you. I'm sorry to disappoint you. I have been to the Caribbean, and I've actually been to Jamaica. One of the things that I really like doing is to explore different places in the world, and I've got an interest in supporting our students to actually have a better understanding of the world and also the different communities that they're going to be working with. So one of the projects that I've been leading on at Kingston University is what we call international travel abroad. So I came to Jamaica some years back, I think it's about 10 years ago now, and I was able to travel from one end of Jamaica to the other end of Jamaica. But my favorite place was Spanish Town? And I think that's the place that I liked most. Maybe it's just because it's landlocked.
So, we're going to hold you to that, and you have to tell us something specific about Spanish Town, So if you don't have that ready, you have to get that ready, Doc.
I'll throw it in. I'll throw it in my presentation as I remember. And I did actually visit, and I visited your capital city. We visited a project. I can't just remember the name, but I hope I'll remember as I speak through. So a little bit about me, so that I give you a little bit of context. So I was born in Zambia, so I'm Zambian. I'm African, Southern African, and like you, I traveled over to the UK. To be precise, about 25, 26 years ago. And I started in the UK, I did a master's, and then I was sponsored to do a master's, and I was sponsored from my master's to do a doctorate. And I completed both my master's and doctorate at the University of Birmingham. And then from then on, I then got a job at the University of Birmingham as a lecturer. And then the rest is history, and I now lead the Department of Social Work and Social Care at Kingston University. So Patricia approached me in one of the main conversations, and as you already heard, she's very persuasive and managed to convince me, and then I got to meet other people that are involved within this project. But what we can offer you in terms of this project is really around transferring the skills that you already have. I haven't prepared a presentation because I just wanted to have a free-flowed conversation with you. So what we can offer you is an opportunity to actually transfer the skills that you already have. So be confident in yourselves. The work that you're already doing in Jamaica or whichever island in the Caribbean is not different from the work that you're going to be doing here. You already have the expertise, but what you're going to have to learn is to transfer that expertise across into a different context. And at Kingston University, in my department, I am very, very keen in working in a very creative and very collaborative, engaging way. So we've been having conversations around how we can develop a program that will enable you to develop on those particular skills that you already do fantastically well.
Listening there to Dr. Wilson Mulea. He's Zambian by birth and head of department, associate professor, Department of Social Work and Social Care. at Kingston University in the UK. You'll hear more after the break.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3 o'clock.
Jesus, Jesus, oh Jesus, Jesus, oh how I love to call your name.
Tune in to Power 106 FM for the longest running religious calling program on Jamaican radio, The Prayer Line. Join Pastor Errol Hay and his team as they offer spiritual guidance and intercession grounded in biblical doctrine. Hear powerful testimonies from Jamaica and around the world. The Prayer Line, a source of support and inspiration in these trying times. That's The Prayer Line on Power 106 FM, Sundays at 6:30 p.m. Join us.
You shall live to declare the works of God. Amen. You shall be a living testimony. You're on the Lord's side.
Thanks for staying with us here on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, still streaming live on the Gleaners website, go-jamaica.com. We've been listening in on a conference organized by One Step Forward Consultancy, which is a social work consultancy company focusing primarily on safeguarding and child protection issues relating to children and families. You perhaps would recognize the name from the annual International Safeguarding Children Conference, which we have covered over the years here on Power 106 FM. And the focus this time, though, has to do with social work, recruitment and retention in social work overseas, recruitment for UK children's social care services, among other issues. And the current presenter is the head of department, associate professor in the Department of Social Work and Social Care at Kingston University in London. He is Zambian by birth. He is Dr. Wilson Mulea. Let's hear what he has been saying.
How to understand law. You cannot survive in the UK. You cannot work in the UK if you've got no understanding of the legal systems. Social work in the UK is defined through a statutory legislation. Everything that we do in social work is driven and directed by legislation. Right now, social work is going through a review, particularly children's services. Other services are also having their own reviews. So Children's Services is going through a review where we're going to get a report that is going to shift and direct the way that we work within social work. So it's very key to understand that when you're in the UK, your practice will be underpinned by legislation. So on the course that we've designed, we will also be introducing you to law. But we're going to rely on your creativity. We're going to rely on those skills, those kind of questioning skills, those kind of questioning abilities that you already have. We will give you all the pointers, but you will have to go and do the reading. You will have to spend time looking at web pages, looking at the links, looking at the internet to understand how law applies. However, this is the easy bit, that services departments have legal departments. No social worker is expected to be an expert. So never pretend that you're an expert. Ask the questions. If they've given you a case that requires you to understand a particular piece of legislation, there will be qualified people who understand that, who you can go to, maybe within your teams, maybe within the actual setup that you're in. But there will be legal departments, there will be solicitors, there will be barristers. It's an industry that makes a lot of money. So those people will be there to support you. So don't worry about that. As long as you know where to find the piece of legislation that applies and that will inform the work that you need to do, then you're good to go. And that's what we'll be supporting you to do on the course. We'll be developing an awareness for you to have that confidence to seek the right information around law, be to go and find the right legislation on the numerous sites that exist where you can find that information. But we'll also be working with you to actually gain that professional competence, because you will need to register with Social Work England. And your registration with Social Work England is the one that is going to give you the entitlement to call yourself a qualified social worker or to call yourself a social worker. So that registration has got particular requirements that you're required to do. And through the work that we're doing, we'll also be supporting you to achieve that registration. So in a nutshell, we are working to support you to actually make the transition to enable you to meet those professional requirements. And I'm going to pause now for any questions that you have. I know I've kind of given you quite a lot of information, but hey, that's the Zambian way of speaking. Straight from Zambia, different from Jamaica. Aha, we're all the same.
Listening there to Dr. Wilson Mulea, Head of Department, Associate Professor, Department of Social Work and Social Care. The focus is on social work and social care in this conference we're listening in on here on both sides of the story of Jamaicans at home and abroad. And Jamaicans at home and abroad have been involved in this and are involved in this conference, covering areas such as recruitment and retention in social work overseas and recruitment for UK children's social care services. A lot of people have died during this COVID-19 pandemic, and therefore a lot of vacant positions, apart from the tremendous sadness that family members are still having to contend with. And we condole with them. We convey our condolences to all those who have lost loved ones. But one of the realities arising from the deaths of people who are involved in social work and being on the front lines is, of course, they leave voids, they leave positions that have to be filled. But then when you have a situation where the world is still grappling of COVID-19, it becomes quite taxing on those who are left in the system, and it raises questions in the minds of others looking to get into the field, but wary of dying on the front lines. But even in all of that, there are opportunities for those who are well-intentioned, those who are have the necessary skill sets to benefit from those opportunities that exist, even as they seek to protect themselves in the area of social work. One Step Forward Consultancy is the organization coordinating this virtual conference, and we've been listening in on the conference. I believe it's question and answer session now. That's Dr. Wilson Mulea is still on the floor. Let's take some more.
Suited that would tailor that particular need. We already do that with one local authority within our region. So there are different ways to do it. But the bottom line is, I don't think my employers would be happy if I offered it free of charge.
So we have another hand raised. That's Davine Barber.
Yeah.
I'm just allowing a few to come through to open your microphones, and if you have the direct questions to put forward to Dr. Wilson.
Okay, Corey, can I just clarify some things? Me, Patricia?
Yeah, go ahead, Patricia. I think it's important, they hear from you too.
Okay, all right. So let's just clarify that there are two different ways that you can work with One Step Forward in referrals, in registering for working in the UK and for training. So first one, which is the program that we are doing ourselves, that we have been promoting, is that we will have social workers, and we will have the preparation for going to the UK. So persons will be prepared for working in the UK. So that program is a 6-week program that we will be holding over the next 6 weeks as of the first week of February. That is the first week of February. So in relation to the program, what we have completed previously with our previous set of candidates who wanted to come to the UK, we did all their preparation for the Social Work England, and that paperwork was completed, and the social workers that entered the UK were accepted on the letters and information that we actually verified for our candidates. We completed visa help support them with their visa applications, so that was completed as well with their visa applications. We've also ensured that they had their police record and all the other processes that were required in terms of their references, their transcripts, because they need to have their transcripts from the university that they had actually attended. We actually prepared them on one-to-one sessions on how the interview process would take place. We actually had sessions regarding their CVs, so we supported them with their CVs also. And within that, we actually then arranged for interviews with specific borough or with specific borough. So all that is what will be taking place over our 6-week program. Within that, also looking at our theories, looking at direct work, looking at what team managers are actually wanting to see from their social workers. And that is part of what we are providing. Alongside that, we're talking to other professionals that may be able to offer other supports. So we've had a social worker who works in safeguarding that was able to bring a session and had a session with the candidates and able to answer any questions that they had about safeguarding issues. So that is what we are offering for our 6-week program. It's called Preparation for the UK, JA to UK 2022 program. We've also, so that's where we are. Alongside that is what you're speaking about in terms of social workers who have not been working or in employment or practicing for some time, and they want to come back into social work. So what you're offering is that they would have the ability to have a 6-week course or sessions with yourself at Kingston University, be able to use Kingston's library resources. You will have a platform of lecturers that will be doing online training and session supports with the social workers and these candidates. That's what you're offering, and we're supporting you with that in promoting that for our candidates, because we do have candidates who haven't been practicing for some time or have been doing other types of work and now would like to get back into practicing. So I just wanted to clarify that a little bit. And yours, you haven't got a specific date of when you're starting as yet, but we're hoping that it will be in March. Does that make it a little bit clearer for people?
Thank you, Patricia. That's why I said I think that I didn't have a straightforward answer for this, but absolutely right. What we're offering is how best we can support people that would like to come to the UK working through One Step Forward. So we're very open to whatever needs might arise. There is a question in the chat, how will we get access to the information concerning the program? The program that already exists is tailored for restoring or retaining to social practice. So depending on the needs, we might have to change what we're currently offering to meet the needs. And that is where I think I need to emphasize the point that we're going to work with One Step Forward.
And let's come back with more from this social work conference happening right now and streaming not just here in Jamaica, but all over the world, as we look at recruitment and retention in social work, plus recruitment for UK children's social care services, offering opportunities to potential social workers.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:15.
Still Wilson? Let's rejoin Wilson, Dr. Wilson Mulea, Head of Department, Associate Professor, Department of Social Work and Social Care at Kingston University in London.
The chat window.
No, thank you. It's been a great opportunity to support One Step, and we'll be very keen to work with One Step moving forward, and be as supportive to any individuals on the call, anyone within the Caribbean who would like to know a little bit more about our programs. And if you want to know a bit more about the department that I lead, you can just Google Kingston, and I think it's a very memorable name. You can never forget that. It's Kingston University and social work, and you'll know more about us. There's one hand from Nigel. I don't know if you want to take that question now.
Hello?
Nigel, you can hello.
Yeah. Well, somebody had posted in the chat of recent graduates. Graduates you are taking are from what level, if you are taking them, and also what's the demand like for persons who come through your program? What's the demand for social workers like? Is it that you have people that you can't fill the request, or they come in once in a while?
So if you're talking about recruitment, there are different ways to actually gain a social work qualification within the UK. So you can actually train to become a social worker through what is called an apprenticeship route. And I need to emphasize this point, that different criteria, there's different rules around eligibility. So an apprenticeship would mean that you get a job first, employed by the employer, and they then assign you a position as an apprentice. Then they send you onto a course. And through that route, you only need maths and English at level 2. Those are the only qualification you need. But if you then want to do a degree in social work, you need to have GCSEs and equivalent of GCSEs, 5 A levels, and that would take you 3 years, and you need to have English. You need to pass English A to C. And if you already have a degree and you want to do a fast track, there are different types of fast tracks for children's services. And for those fast tracks, you need, again, a degree, either a first-class degree, a distinction, or a merit, or a 2-1. So those are the 3 things that you need. And you can either do a fast track program, which would gain you a qualification at diploma level, postgraduate diploma level. Or you could do a full-time program, which would be 2 years, and that would gain you a master's qualification. And in my department, we offer an MSW, Master of Social Work. So within yes, that is at Kingston University. But within the postgraduate diploma route, there are other routes that are sponsored or supported through the government. So you've got things like the frontline programs, you've got the Step Up to Social Work programs, and you've got other fast track routes that are supported through employers, where you've been working, for instance, one would have been working as a family support worker for a local authority for a number of years, and through that process, the local authority sponsor that employee to come on and do a master's qualification. So those are the kind of levels at which you train. But once you've qualified on any of these routes, the entry into social work is at the same level. So those that qualify with a master's degree and those that qualify with a postgraduate degree or with a BA honors degree or through an apprenticeship route, they all start at the same level. There's no differentiation to say just because one qualified with a master's program, they will then become an assistant manager when they go into social work and they get a job as an assistant manager in the team. No, everybody starts at the beginning because the assumption is that these are entry routes into social work. So you can enter social work at those different levels. I hope that's helpful.
Okay. And then, I'm not hearing, so your service offers the 6 weeks program. Is that an accelerated program?
Yes, that's an accelerated program for people who are already qualified social workers. So this is for people who already are qualified. And the qualification doesn't necessarily need to be a UK qualification. It can be a qualification from anywhere in the world that is recognized.
Do I have to then go through maybe the British Council for them to assess my qualification to determine if it is okay to go on that 6 weeks program?
Can I just jump in? Nigel, could I ask that you email those questions to us and we could then answer them for you or put them in the group because we need to move on at the moment. And I'm sure that if you could put that question to Wilson in the group, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. Wilson, thank you so much. I know that you're going to stay on with us. Rights of information from Kingston University, UK. And I will be waiting to hear your stories of Spanish Town. So watch this space. I'm going to introduce to you Hilary Brown. I believe that Hilary's on the line. Are you on the line, Hilary? Is Hilary there?
I most certainly am on the line and delighted to be here.
Okay, thank you so much. Hilary Brown is an expert immigration lawyer who is a very, very dear sister to me. And I would like to introduce her today to yourselves, who would be able to inform you about your visa applications and anything with regards to immigration in relation to social workers coming up to be employed in the UK. Not only social workers, we have support workers as well. Hilary, I hand over to you.
Thank you so much, my dear sister Patricia. And as I said, I'm absolutely delighted to be here because we all remember the Windrush and the call to the United Kingdom for help from the Caribbean after the devastating effects of World War II. Well, to me, it feels a little bit like Groundhog Day again. It feels to me like the United Kingdom is in a desperate situation to once again actively recruit and welcome people from the Caribbean to come here and fill in where there are huge gaping gaps in the workforce in the United Kingdom for professionals such as yourselves. As Patricia said, I'm Hilary Brown. I'm the CEO of Virgo Consultancy Services Limited. I have an office in Wales, and I also have an office in the wonderful Lambeth. the borough that has been mentioned a few times already this afternoon. And I feel it is absolutely entirely appropriate that I remind you all how desperate the United Kingdom is for people to come to the United Kingdom who have not only academic qualifications that shows you are most suitable for the roles where there is an acute skills shortage, but one thing that is hugely missing and lacking in the United Kingdom at this time is professionals who are culturally competent. Professionals who are used to dealing with black and brown families. And professionals who are absolutely acutely aware of the difference in culture. And so the welcome to social workers coming from Jamaica and the Caribbean islands to the United Kingdom is hugely extended to you. Michael, when he opened with his prayer, talked about he was excited as well that you were looking to make the United Kingdom your home, even only for a number of years. But he mentioned he was excited about you coming to England. Well, I'm very excited about you coming to Wales, because also in Wales, there is a huge shortage of competent, qualified social workers. And so it is not only England that extends a welcome to you. The United Kingdom is made up of England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. And I know there are acute shortages in all of those countries. And so I'm going to talk just a little bit about visa and the requirements for you to come to the United Kingdom and give you some ideas of the different ways that visas can be completed to ensure that you get the best deal possible when you come to the United Kingdom. And to perhaps make you alert and aware to some of the potential pitfalls that could be associated if a visa is tied into employment, which is tied into accommodation. And what you may find is local authorities who require social workers may well be prepared to pay the professional fees of lawyers who would complete the visa applications for you to enable you to come to the United Kingdom to carry out your new role. But as an independent lawyer, I would be very keen to ensure that when negotiating with local authorities, that the local authorities didn't tie your accommodation in with your employment and in with your visa. It's something that I have seen time and time again, and it is something that you need to be aware of, that as well as having an employer who is prepared to do your visa for you, it is also sometimes worth getting some independent advice to make sure that the visa application is actually fit for purpose. Michael gave some excellent advice on what would be expected of you when you were here in the United Kingdom, and it goes without saying that there is no better advice given by somebody who is hands-on in the job. And exactly an indication of the type of support that is available in the United Kingdom, that I go back to expectations of you as of a social worker. And they are sometimes different from the expectations that you may have for your employer.
Hilary Brown, immigration lawyer in Wales at Virgo Consultancy Services. She's an expert in visa applications and immigration services, adding her contribution to this international social work recruitment with One Step Forward International Social Care Services JA2 UK 2022 program. There's more after the break.
Importers provide proper invoices for customs when presenting goods for examination. This could prevent delays during clearance. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is 3:30.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Yeah, I made up my mind to do good all the time. 'Cause all the time I found myself.
Toots and the Maytals, do good all the time. Social work speaks to doing good all the time. In fact, that's what social work is. Doing good, doing what is right, and helping to lift up those who are in need of care and attention. Recruitment and retention in social work overseas. Recruitment for UK Children's Social Care Services. Just a couple of the areas being covered at this virtual international social work recruitment with OSF International Social Care Services. And this is the JA2 UK 2022 program. We have heard so far from the Deputy High Commissioner at the Jamaican High Commission in London, Mrs. Patrice Laird Grant, Mr. Michael Perino Daly, a Jamaican father and St. Lucian mother. He's the safeguarding team manager in the London Borough of Lambeth. And we're now hearing from Ms. Hilary Brown. She's an immigration lawyer based in Wales at Virgo Consultancy Services. She's an expert in visa applications and immigration services. A lot of opportunities to be had in the field of social services. And let's rejoin Attorney at Law Hilary Brown.
Brainchild and her heart's desire to ensure that the United Kingdom gets the absolute best when it comes to professional social workers. And I believe that everybody should be honoured and privileged that Patricia, honestly from her heart, believes that you are the best people that she can bring here to the United Kingdom. So, thank you. And Patricia, you're muted.
Thank you, Hilary. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. See you when I get back. Any questions, anybody? Any questions? I'm sure there must be some questions. I think, is this Miss Palmer Tomlinson has got her hand up? Or is that from before? Miss Palmer Tomlinson, are you muted? Miss Williams, have you a question? Your hand is up.
Good afternoon, everyone. So I have my bachelor's currently in social work. Is it possible to do with the maybe the lawyer can explain it to me? I would do my master's while if I get through the program. Is that possible to do the master's while working with the one-step program? Or will that be some legal issues with that to get my master's in social work?
You can actually get your master's within that. I believe that is through Wilton and the Kingston University, UK. If you can put your details in the chat, we will be able to answer that question in more detail. But yes, that is a possibility.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hello, good night, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It's Miss Patricia Tomlinson.
Oh, sorry, it's Patricia Forbes actually, but she had sent me the link, so that's why I realized that my name is not coming up as Patricia Forbes. I'm Patricia Forbes.
Okay, good afternoon.
Yes, so
what was
good afternoon. Good afternoon. Question is that I have a degree in child and adolescent development, whereby I'm actually practicing as guidance counselor, and I'm also doing a master's in mental health. So I want to know, with the fact that I'm not a guide, I'm not a social worker by profession, but based on my profession, will that make me eligible for this? Also, if it's a case that a person is actually going through a filing process, will it be safe also?
Okay, I can answer you the first question. Hillary would have to ask me the second part of your question. So the first part of your question is, we are actually specifically looking for social workers at this point, but it doesn't mean that we will not be looking for other types of other professionals who will be able to get their masters in social work
Can they hear
be placed
me?
in other areas of the service, because there are other areas of the service that are actually wanting social work assistants, child guidance officers, etc. So if you provide your information, Patricia Forbes, I don't recall having your information, but if you could put something in the chat, we'll be able to get back to you. Your second half of your question, I'll allow Hillary to answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There are on the government, on the British government website, there is a shortage occupation list that you can look at, and you can see whether or not you have the skills and experience that is required to fill those shortage occupation gaps within the United Kingdom. The skills shortages are vast. And if you feel that your experience and expertise and knowledge fits in with a job that has been identified in the United Kingdom and declared on the shortage occupation list, it is then possible for you to approach in the same way as you would approach any opportunity for recruitment, by trying to identify employers in the United Kingdom that are recruiting to those positions. Now, there is a cautionary tale that due to the changes in the immigration legislation that was brought about some years ago, people who are coming from abroad to obtain employment in the United Kingdom can only do so if the employer has a license, a tier 2 license. And if that employer has a tier 2 license, then they are able to recruit international people from abroad to fit into the skills shortage that is in the United Kingdom. So perhaps it is an idea for One Step Forward to reach out to potential employers who may have other skill shortages, to see if there are gaps that can be filled by the service currently being offered by One Step Forward. Because I have a feeling that once the work of One Step Forward is known in relation to social workers, then other sectors within the social care sector will reach out and come running for help with recruitment internationally.
And on that note is a perfect segue to introduce what is known as the Support Care Worker Program or Initiative, and you have heard it from Hillary, which you need to understand that this information is out there. Sometimes you just need clear signposting, and that's what we are all about. We have positioned ourselves for a number of years now to bring about this sort of intervention in the opportunity space. So it's now there. Any questions relating to immigration, it is right there to answer. Don't be shy. We're asking you one rule: participation. So drop those questions in the chat. She will go through and she will respond accordingly. Patricia, she's smiling from ear to ear because this is what she has always wanted, to make sure that there's an interactive platform, people asking the questions, asking these questions that can be answered so you can take up the opportunity. Around finance, how can the individuals finance themselves? What's available? Are there grants, bursaries to support themselves, support family? All of those questions. I know it's on the tip of your tongue. Type it and let us address this. The next segment will see recruitment of senior support care workers. Right, so overstand and when you heard from Miss Veronica Miller, she's not able to come on. She did mention that earlier, but she's still with us. But representing her is Mr. Dudley Sawyer, chair of the Registered Managers of the London Care and Support Forum. We'll be taking you through the need, the recruitment process for senior support care workers, because I've seen the questions coming. Is it only social workers? And we're pivoting on what Hillary just said, that others in that care sector, knowing what we are about, will ask for support, and we are here for that. So introducing Mr. Dudley Sawyer, chair of the Registered Managers for the London Care and Support Forum. And I want to extend a welcome to all listeners on all 106, always supporting One Step Forward. I tell you, we salute you, Dervan, Malcolm, for the opportunity for persons to participate in Radio Land.
Thank you very much for having me. Listen, this is a fantastic audience and event today. I think One Step Forward has done a marvelous job. As we move into 2022, I think this is something that we look forward to. And I thank all the fellow speakers as well who really shared some really great insights. I'm going to try and share my screen. Hopefully there's no technical issues coming up and I'm able to share my actual presentation. Always hope to have it as it works out. Sometimes it doesn't happen as you wish to have it. So I hope that it works. So let me see. 1 second. And I'm going to start out. So as we know, we've touched on this area of its recruitment and retention in social work, and which is really an important factor as we deal when we look forward into coming into UK. And I'm going to show you this slide, and some of you may recognize the person holding something there which says an SOS. So the increased support in the community for mental health patients and migrants trafficked into UK, as well as aspiring workload in children's services and adult services, has revealed skills gaps in social care in the UK and labour force. So for me, it means that the international recruitment of suitably qualified and skilled social workers has become not only necessary to plug skill gaps, but to fulfil the needs of a diverse UK population. It concluded through many issues with the sector, probably caused by Brexit, underfunding issues, retaining staff leaving without being able to attract people into the profession. All of this, alongside the added pressures from the pandemic, has created a perfect storm of outside assistance. And as you can see, an SOS, which Boris Johnson and his team have really called upon. And so the reason why we have his face here is because you can see how much of a need there is here. Hillary touched upon this, and you see this lovely picture which have pulled around, which from the 50s and 60s showed, as he said, the call for help. And people may not be aware, if they remember, that the black and brown workforce saved the NHS, and everyone remembers what they did back then. There was a call for help. People from all around the globe came over and did things from midwifery to nursing, all sorts of roles, A&E, to really be the pinnacle and really showcase the amount of wonderful stories
from the NHS. And as you can see, we've learned new skills, and my mum was privileged to do that as well. And at her wedding, she got the Queen's doctor to come in and taught them how to eat some lovely cultural food. So it's all there, and it was an integration of cultures, which is wonderful and something to see.
Let's come back with more from Dudley Sawyer, Chair for the Registered Managers for the London Care and Support Forum. We're talking social work here on both sides of the story and opportunities in the UK.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
3:45.
Consumer Talks, educating and empowering consumers towards a more vigilant and confident consumer-friendly Jamaica. Join us every second and last Tuesday of each month at 9:35 on Real Business. Listen and learn about your rights and responsibilities. Learn how the CAC works to empower consumers in Jamaica. Consumer Talks, brought to you by the Consumer Affairs Commission, protecting your rights, securing our future.
Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I made up my mind to do good all the time.
We've been listening in on a very significant conference that's been happening for the last almost 2 hours, and that's the International Social Work Recruitment with One Step Forward International Social Care Services, the JA2 UK 2022 program, and the areas of focus: recruitment and retention in social work overseas, recruitment for UK children's social care services, and there are a few more presenters to come, but so far we've been learning a lot, and we noticed that our listeners, especially on Facebook Live, have been asking for contact information. They want a recap of all that's been said so far. They need email, contact, website, etc. And we're sharing your questions behind the scenes with Corey Hyde and Patricia Mackenzie Thomas and the team. In the meantime, let's go back to listening to Dudley Sawyer's presentation. He chairs the Registered Managers for the London Care and Support Forum.
We now see are now put in the same pot, where those from Europe will have the same situation that they have to deal with those from the Caribbean islands, as well as Africa and other parts of the world. So this is really a perfect time to apply. As you can see, the additional assessments of rules will be required as well going forward from the government from 23 to 24 onwards, when the government implements its cap on care costs and a more generous system of means testing, which means that more self-funders are going to be there. So local authorities will need more and more workforces to come through. So this isn't just something that's here today because of the COVID and the pandemic. We can see that this is something which is long-lasting. So One Step Forward have really taken the initiative to really see a pathway which is from here and beyond. And this is really stressing that a lot of work has to be done. There's a lot of work and different types of social work, from social workers in the front end as well as the back office staff as well be required. So we can see there's increased numbers overall. And this reflects comments made by the Chief Social Worker for Adults, Lynn Romeo, whilst the Department of Health and Social Care has confirmed that there is 500 million allocated to the social care workforce from 2022 to 25 will be used as part to expand training routes into social work. So as you can see, there is money that the government in UK are willing to spend at it. So we can see this is something which you may think, okay, this is going to take me, I want to rush into it. You don't have to necessarily rush, even though the courses are available. Take your time, be upskilled, so when you do come, you will be ready. So UK will be waiting for you. The other area which I really look at as well, which you're also probably keen to know about, And this happened recently where there was an immigration rule that is being opened up in December of 2021. And this applies now to care workers who are skilled care workers. So immigration rules are to be temporarily relaxed, and this is a statement from the government for overseas care workers in a bid to recruit and keep staff the government has announced. Social care workers, care assistants, and home care workers are to become eligible for a health and care visa for a 12-month period. The government said this would make it easier to fill gaps in workforces. It follows warnings that the sector faced severe and increasing problems with hiring and keeping staff after Brexit. Care workers will be added to the shortage occupation list, which is designed to help migrants get work visas to fill jobs where there are shortages. The temporary measures were expected to come into effect now, as we say, early this year. The Department of Health and Social Care said it would be in place for the minimum of 12 months, and after this, it will be reviewed constantly. So we'll see that this is something which is ongoing. And as you can see here, it shows that the minimum level that you have, it's equivalent needed for A level. We've got things like a minimum salary, which will be offering out will be £25,000. I do know they're looking at this range, and it's anything from potentially 20,000. Because everything is brand new at the moment with what they're looking at for care workers, some of the ranges of pay may change. Applicants can score tradable points for shortage occupation roles for new entrants or PhD level roles for those who are higher roles. There is a removal of a resident labour market test and a removal of a cap on a number of migrants allowed per month, which was always the case. So we're now learning that this is the case. And there's a removal of the 5-year visa linked to skilled workers visas. So as you can see, there is a lot of opportunity across the board. Social work is one area, but as we can see now, that's put on the list is care and social work. And for those who may not be aware, and this is an interesting statistic, we all have heard of the NHS, where there is more workers in health and social care than there are in the NHS. So for those people who weren't sure, this is really a field that is really needed to be covered. And the Migration Advisory Committee, the government's official immigration advisors recommend that care workers should be added to the sorted occupation list. And as you can see, it's really important. So inclusion, as I said, starts from around £25,000, but there's also, they're looking at starting from £20,000, £20,480. Care workers from overseas are eligible. And to just make it more enjoyable for you to be happy about, there will also be a fast-track processing of applications, the department has said, to reduce the visa fees. The standard application fee for a health and care worker and visa is £232 per person for those who stay in the UK for up to 3 years and £464 per person for more than 3 years. And this is also as well to also help with including partners and children, and the visa offers a pathway to further settlement. The Health Secretary, Sajid Javid, said it's vital we continue to do all we can to protect the social care sector work and workforce during the pandemic and beyond. These measures, together with a series of support packages announced in September, will help us ensure short-term sustainability and success for our long-term vision to build social care back to a better place. Part of the work I've been involved with, and I'm going to mention the word Lambeth. I've worked in Southeast London, where I cover all the 6 boroughs in Southeast London. People may not know, but health and social care is, if not the most diverse and inclusive workplace in sector in the UK. So when you think about coming to the UK and you want to go to a sector where you feel that you're not alone, health and social care is probably one of the most ideal sectors to jump into. So we looked at some of the pitfalls that Hilary mentioned. So unskilled workforce, there is no mandatory requirement to provide accommodation unless the same allowance is provided to all employees. Candidates from abroad may, however, need support from their sponsor to secure accommodation in the UK. So you may get, when you come in, they may fund you potentially for maybe the first 4 weeks or 6 weeks, but from that point forward, you may have to find your own accommodation. So it would be understandable to, if you have any friends or family, or you can seek your own accommodation, to really look at that before you come over. It's really essential because accommodation costs can be quite costly, especially in London. And if we are using a sponsor, there are some sponsor duties which they have to keep up to make sure they continue your upkeep here. So they have looked at things such as record keeping, to making sure there's compliance with the law, any additional tier 2 specific duties, cooperation with the Home Office, reporting, and penalties for non-compliance. So it's in the sponsor's duty to make sure that you are kept in the best way possible. So it's a two-way street. Even though the sponsor invites you over, it's also well and very important for them to also make sure you comply with the law. And as Wilson said, UK is a stickler for legislation, and this is what rules and that you have to follow. So it makes it fairly straightforward for how it works. All of this is all a real mix, and I know it's just really running through some of the things that we're doing. But it's also important for you as well, when you are coming to UK, to really understand what you're getting involved with. One of the programs that I've been involved with is working with the NHS and SLAM in South London, who have developed a program to support the mental health and well-being of the workforce. We've delivered a program where you're not alone, and if you need any problems, or if you have any problems, or you're stressed or anxious, we created this wonderful program to help to accommodate people in this country and see how you feel. One of the things and drivers that I'm involved with is not just the legislation, which is important, not just the work you have to do, but also as well for you as a worker coming to the country, hoping that you can understand where you are, not alone, you've got support, because that's vital. Because if you're going to be here for a minimum of 12 months to 3 to 5 years, you're really going to need as much support as possible. So as Hilary spoke about, the food, the culture, and all the things that are really necessary. So yes, before you step here, it's always good to know. And before you do anything, really speak to anyone else, get insight from others who've worked here. Really, if you're coming through your local authority or a sponsor, really see what's involved and all the pitfalls that are possible. There are also financial costs as well, so we do understand the financial implications that are really important. I know One Step Forward are really providing a really comprehensive sort of package. So really, I'm here as well to support them, and really, when you're onboarding, really seeing how we can make it work. So thank you very much. I'm open for any questions, and you can contact me if anything for any further questions, at Dudley Sawyer for peoplecareservices.com, and really address any issues that you'd like. So thank you very much. I'll stop sharing my screen now.
Thanks so much, Dudley.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. I was just going to say thank you so much, Dudley, for that. And just to let people know that One Step Forward do have an employer that has approached us to find support care workers for them, and we will be doing interviews for that tomorrow. So we've already done our sourcing, we've got our candidates, and our first lot of candidates will be interviewed tomorrow and hopefully be placed in the UK by March. So we have an employer that's already approached us. And we were fortunate enough to have had a meeting with Dudley this week, and it was a very positive discussion, and it's hopeful that we'll be working with Dudley in the future in looking at those 12 London boroughs that may be able to have support workers with them. Also, we'd like that before the 31st of March, obviously, because they're making some of the changes. I need to actually make sure that people know that those who are coming up to the UK need to be vaccinated. They need to be vaccinated with their 2 vaccinations, preferably AstraZeneca or Pfizer or Moderna, not Johnson & Johnson. So just so that you're mindful of that as well. And obviously, if Dudley and this employer that we're working with at present are able to look at another set of candidates coming up, that will be done, and we will announce that later on within the next couple of weeks. So yes, so we've got social workers that we're doing our own program, and that's 6 weeks. We will be in partnership with Wilson Malaya at Kingston University, UK, looking at social workers who have want to get back into social work, who've been away from social work for a little while.
listening there to Mrs. Patricia Mackenzie Thomas, founder and director of One Step Forward OSF and OSF International Social Care Service Limited. Social care has been, and social work has been the area of focus for this conference. Recruitment and retention in social work overseas, recruitment for UK children social care services. And this is all a part of the International Social Work Recruitment with One Step Forward International Social Care Services, JA2UK 2022 program. More in a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4 o'clock.
Under the law. Know your rights and how the laws of Jamaica can help you defend those rights. Under the law.
Brought to you today by the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Educating, advocating, empowering. Learn more facts about the Disability Act.
I have a disability. I am getting married, and guess what? You can't stop me.
That would be discrimination. Under the Act, you also have to make reasonable arrangements to accommodate persons with disabilities, like ramps, sign language interpreters, or special computer software.
Make a start and play your part and learn all the facts on the Act.
Visit jcpdja.com. A message from the JCPD. Alafia, we got permission to convert the Grove Street building into a school. That's great news, Janet. So we can be ready for the start of the next school year. It's all systems go now. You are the numbers, lady. Please keep us within the budget. I was reviewing the proposal again last night and realized we have not considered the disabled in our planning. Wow, that's a major oversight. I downloaded the Disabilities Act, which says, an educational or training institution shall not deny a person with a disability from being enrolled at or attending the institution because of his disability. We'll definitely be providing for them. No problem there. The institution shall provide the support necessary to ensure that a person with a disability has the most reasonable access to the education or training provided. Special equipment for the visually impaired, making notes, has access to the facilities in the least restrictive environment and best suited to his individual needs. It's not only ramps and rails. Don't forget special educators and easy to read and understand materials for persons with intellectual disabilities. Being a student of the institution, he is not, in relation to student services provided, placed at a disadvantage, and is provided with reasonable arrangement and receives the support required to effectively facilitate his education. There will be additional costs, Janet, but we'll do what we have to do.
Well said. Please note that every caregiver is required to monitor the circumstances of a person with a disability in his or her care to ensure that the person is not subjected to discrimination. And, where necessary, file a complaint to the Council for Persons with Disabilities in relation to a person with disability subjected to discrimination in the provision of education and training. That's how it is under the law.
Brought to you today by the Jamaica Council for Persons with Disabilities. Educating, advocating, empowering.
Join us Wednesdays and Thursdays at 6:45 and 8:55 a.m. and at 4 and 9:55 p.m. on Power 106 FM for Under the Law.
¿Qué hora es en español? Son las 4:04. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 4:04. 现在地点了10:04分. 4 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you had a checkup lately? If not, now is a good time. Let's not wait till we get sick to get a checkup. How about that? Checking in with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, the story of Jamaicans at home and abroad. We've been listening in on a social work conference organized by One Step Forward OSF for short, One Step Forward. And this is an international social work recruitment conference with the OSF International Social Care Services, part of the JA2 UK 2022 program. They've been looking at recruitment and retention in social work overseas, meaning job opportunities available right now in the United Kingdom. Recruitment for UK Children's Social Care Services. There are educational opportunities as well with respect to enhancing or enhancing existing skills or acquiring new skill sets through Kingston University in London and other institutions. And the conference chairs, Mrs. Patricia Mackenzie Thomas and Mr. Corey Hyde. And let's see. Let's go over to Corey Hyde right now and hear what he has been saying.
Open your mic. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. First, I'd like to thank Patricia for inviting me to this great event, and congratulations to all the candidates who are participating. I must say that I live between New York and Atlanta, but London is also my second home. Most of my family are there, so I'm there quite often. When the pandemic started, I was very startled. And I think what came out of the pandemic, I believe that mental health became the pandemic within the pandemic. And I wanted to think of ways of how we were going to support social workers, because I really believe that social workers are the foundation of humanity, because we're taking care of everyone and all of their crises. So I was really thrown, because I was in New York when the pandemic started. I traveled to London. I traveled also to Guyana. And the underlying emotion was immense anxiety, the uncertainness of what's going to happen in the world, and just people not being sure of how they're going to navigate this process. So I wanted to offer a body of work that was clear and concise, that anyone can pick up and read it and get a good understanding of what mental health is. And so I started out to think of what are some of the things that we can do to give ourselves agency over our lives in a pandemic. And I wanted to really point out, first of all, that we're not helpless. Individually, we're not helpless, and collectively, we're not helpless. And I think that's one of the core values of social work in terms of what we do and how we bring community and people together, and how we navigate the space that we are in. But I want to touch a little on how do we use our professional selves as we move from one space to the other. For example, to the candidates that are preparing to go to the UK, I think it's important that we think of first of ourselves as valid, and your skill sets are valid, but also transferable. I think it's very important that we have that kind of agency over our profession and our skill sets. We're accustomed of navigating a space where we are expected to provide everything with very little resources. So the fact that you're going to be having an opportunity to go to the UK where we have much more resources, I think that adds value to your professional repertoire. So I really want you to feel a sense of empowerment that when you get there, you are arriving with a skill set that is very valuable and is very core social work. We are really committed to changing the world, and that's how we navigate through this. But I also want us to think of our self-care. It is imperative that we take care of ourselves when we move to a new space. And there are basic things that we can do. It's important that we exercise. It's important that we eat healthy. And it's very important that we get enough sleep. Rest is important. Going to another country, your body is going to take about a month or two to adjust and acclimatize to the weather, the altitude, smells, systems. If you haven't traveled before also, you are going to experience a sense of anxiety. The things move very fast. Okay, so it's important for us to readjust ourselves, be prepared for what's to come, but also have the sense of self that we're able to take care of ourselves. Pay attention to your mental health. It is important that we do that. Moving to a new country can be anxiety provoking. You're leaving your family, your friends, and everything that you know. But also be aware that anxiety is not always bad. There's good anxiety that you're going to do something different, you're going to do something new, it's going to be exciting. So also open yourself to the possibility that this is a new experience and you can learn a whole lot from it, but also you're also bringing a lot to this experience. So with the people that you are going to meet, your co-workers, your peers, this is a great opportunity for you to exchange ideas and the way we do things and the way we work in different parts of the world. So I really believe that this is a wonderful opportunity for the candidates. I really want you to place emphasis on your sense of self, your self-worth, and what you bring to this international table, and be a source of support for each other. We get through whatever crisis when we come together as an individual, as a community, as a church, and more so as society. If we're all able to navigate our lives for the last 2 years in a pandemic, I think we're doing well. But I do want us to be very conscious about how we use our professional self. Be very clear that you're coming with a skill, you're coming with knowledge, you're coming with experience, and you're there to share and learn. So be open your mind, open your sense of wonder, and be willing to learn, be willing to ask questions, be willing to engage, and also be willing to share your experience. Because you're coming from a country where there's very little source, but you're asked to do so much. And all of the innovative ways to meet the needs of your clients, that will be you to your experience, and you can share that with your colleagues as well. So I do want to close on the fact that even in a pandemic, the burden of society rests on social workers, and we really want to be conscious of that. So moving forward, you are moving to a space that you have the opportunity to shape humanity, to add value to humanity. And I want us to think of, we are in this inflection point, and it really is about how we manage ourselves, support each other. That's how we're going to come out on the other side of this pandemic. But most importantly, be gentle to yourself, be open, challenge yourself to learn new things, ask questions, be extremely curious.
Listening there to Shane Mark Tull, clinical psychotherapist, consultant, and life coach based in Atlanta, Georgia. He's the author of A Pandemic in a Pandemic, Workplace, Mental Health, and Professional Self. And speaking of workplace, we've been seeing the breaking news story popping up with respect to Joe Biden's vaccine mandate. The U.S. Supreme Court has blocked President Joe Biden's rule requiring workers at large companies to be vaccinated or masked and tested weekly. We'll be watching that one. More in a moment.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:15.
Consumer Talks, educating and empowering consumers towards a more vigilant and confident consumer-friendly Jamaica. Join us every second and last Tuesday of each month at 9:35 on Real Business. Listen and learn about your rights and responsibilities. Learn how the CAC works to empower consumers in Jamaica. Consumer Talks, brought to you by the Consumer Affairs Commission, protecting your rights, securing our future.
Y ahora es en español, son las 4:15. Quelle heure est-il en français? Les 4:15. 现在几点了？4点15分。15 minutes past 4 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Have you done your homework yet? If not, now is a good time. Good afternoon to all the schoolers listening to us, all the students from the early childhood level to the secondary level. Trust you had a productive day of learning today. Hope you also managed to get in some physical activity, just as important as mental activity. As we always say, young people, socialization makes you educable. Education makes you trainable. Training makes you employable. And the right attitude makes you successful. Homework time, young people. We've been hosting a special edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, here on Power 106 FM this afternoon. We've been listening in on the International Social Work Recruitment virtual program with One Step Forward International Social Care Services under their JA2 UK 2022 program. Social work is the focus, recruitment and retention in social work overseas, recruitment for UK children's social care services. And there are a lot of openings, job openings in the UK. There are also opportunities for professional development programs, one in particular through Kingston University in London, and among others. And the program continues. And the contributor right now is Gabriella Johnson. And let's hear what Gabriella has to say. She's one of the OSF, and when we mention OSF, we're referring to One Step Forward. That's the name of the organization. So the One Step Forward OSF International Social Care Services Program Ambassador, speaking now, one of two, is Ms. Gabriella Johnson. Let's listen.
How the food? How's the food? Just as a sidebar, how's the food? Are you missing home food?
How is the food, Corey? Honestly, I am missing food at home. The food is bland for me. I love my spices. I love the peppers. So it took quite a while for me to adjust to the food here. I am still adjusting. But what I do, I try to find places where I'm able to get Jamaican products, which has been really helpful. So I've been getting my green plantains, my peppers, my red peas, my coconut milk. So it's been going really well so far.
Awesome. So have you been able to travel out? Does work allow you that flexibility to to have you time, just to
It does. We have something called a flexi worksheet. So each day I record my hours that I do work. So if I work beyond 5, I'm able to record that. If I work on weekends, I record that. When those hours are added, I am given 2 days for the month where I can take that day. I can go out. I can do some self-care activities just to ensure that I am taking care of me while I am serving the public.
the transition. Got to ask you this question: the transition, having that foundation, the training in Jamaica. Feel free to say which institution you studied at. Feel free, big up your institution. You know, guys, you have some of your colleagues them on as well, right? And how has that helped you now that you're in the United Kingdom?
Right, so I studied at the University of the West Indies Mona campus in Kingston. Very good lecturer and mentor, which I had. I will say her name is Kimberly Heiseron. She has been very good. She was even helpful in this process as well.
Absolutely.
The training that I received at university was very vital coming here. As was mentioned earlier, we do genograms here. It is something that we have to do with every one of our cases. So to link the family networks, to get the different generations, to track the different history, what is happening in this family has been very helpful. The assessment also has been very, very helpful because we have different assessments that we have to undertake. So my training back home has assisted me immensely with the child and family assessment that I now have to carry out with my cases. So I work with children on child in need plan and also on child protection plan.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And she's here. She can answer any question that you may have. She's right there on the chat, so you can talk to her right there.
Can I just say thank you so much, Gabriella, for just reaching out and going through and registering with us and going through the whole process. I know that some parts of it was a little bit difficult because we were doing sessions at like 10, 11 o'clock at night and doing the social work training and so on and the preparation. And I'm hoping that you were prepared enough for going to Stoke-on-Trent. I must say that the feedback from Stoke-on-Trent with regard to yourself and your colleagues, the other young lady, has been very good. I'm very proud of you. It's really nice to hear that you've settled in well and that you are doing well. So from one step forward, congratulations and thank you for being our ambassadors.
You are most welcome and thank you as well. And I must say to the persons who are now applying or are interested in applying, they are really helpful. From the moment I submitted my CV to the moment I landed here, they have been very helpful. Corey will tell you, I call him day and night, any time of the day. I called him just for assistance. They assisted with preparing for the interview. Even the day before the interview, I had a mock interview session, which was so helpful. So, good program. I'd recommend it anytime. Really, really good. And as they say, I am here. Any information, any questions you want to ask, I will try my best to assist in answering.
Thank you. Awesome. We're looking at England and Caribbean perspective. And I know there's a special guest in the house as well, Patricia. I'm not sure if I'm seeing her, Minister Council. Patricia, if you're seeing her, please introduce her as she could join us.
Who am I?
Minister Council Desiree Taylor. She's still with us.
Hello.
I saw her join.
Mrs. Taylor, are you with us?
Yes, I am. Hello.
Hello. Thank you. I know that you were having some issues joining us. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, good evening, and thank you for having me. I'm real happy that I finally got on, but I think I've missed a lot. But for what I've caught so far in the last about 10 minutes or so, it's been very interesting.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And
go ahead.
Well, I had planned to, as you had invited me, to give a word of welcome to the group after my deputy head of mission spoke. I wanted to just take the opportunity to wish the new recruits all the very best. First of all, congratulate them on taking this step to enhance their careers, further their careers, and by sorry, yes, to further their careers by looking to come to the signing up to come to the United Kingdom. And as the diaspora representative of the government of Jamaica in the Jamaican High Commission, I wanted to encourage them to uh, get involved in the diaspora movement here in the United Kingdom, and to see themselves not only as being here to make a better life, but also to look at giving back to Jamaica. I know when persons first go to Jamaicans or persons from other countries anyway first go to a foreign country, the first thing that they're looking at is to give support to their immediate families. And then after that has been satisfied, then they feel that, that's it. But what we are here to do is to encourage persons to seek to give back to Jamaica. You've all talked about, the education and the foundation that you got in Jamaica and how much it has helped you to come to the United Kingdom and to be able to integrate into this society. And so there it is. Jamaica gave you a fine foundation, and you can use that to build upon that. That's the foundation that you are now currently building on. And as part of ambassador, the ambassador group of Jamaicans, I want to encourage you to join us as the government representatives here to help fly the flag high and proud, and not just to think about yourself, but to also think about joining the diaspora movement to give back to your country at an appropriate time in the future, when you think that you have settled in and you have taken care of the bread and butter issues and so on, and then to look around to at what you can now do for your country and not necessarily what your country has done for you. And that's my encouragement to you. We at the High Commission, our doors are open every day to you for any kind of support and assistance that you might need, and within the boundaries of what we're allowed to do as the government of Jamaica representatives here in the United Kingdom, where you're very welcome to take advantage of that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for attending. Thank you for your, the advice and your support. Thank you so much, Ms. Taylor.
It's my pleasure.
Awesome. The High Commission in London, always a home away from home, right? And going to the High Commission, for those planning to make that transition, there's a little cabinet at the front with a lot of treats. It's a showcase. And every time I walk in that lobby, I tell them about water.
Corey Hyde of One Step Forward. He's one of the partners on board with One Step Forward and the director of One Step Forward International Social Care Services Limited. Social work and the interest of social workers and potential social workers all in the mix this afternoon. on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM. There's more after the break.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:30.
We have a good friend in this world is very hard to find. I know there is a future, and I've got to find a way to keep on doing good all the time, all the time, all the time. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Que ahora es en español, son las 5 menos 29, quel retilo français, les 5h moins 29. 现在地点了5点29分. 29 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House, 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Do you know where your children are? Are they where they're supposed to be? Doing what they're supposed to be doing? It's a good time to check up on the children. A good time for us to continue with more on your program, Both Sides of the Story, Power 106 FM, another special edition. Good afternoon to all social workers and potential or prospective social workers listening to us. We trust you've been finding the information useful, and those who haven't heard most of the presentations, as usual, these programs will be uploaded and you'll be able to listen at your leisure. This particular edition will be uploaded like all the others before this one, and you'll be able to listen to the entire program. The areas covered: recruitment and retention in social work overseas, recruitment for UK children social care services. And there's an email address you can use: recruit@onestepforward.org.uk. recruit@onestepforward.org.uk. Corey Hyde, one of the conference chairs, is online right now. Let's hear what he has been saying.
Social care services contact for you in this chat, because we want you to go away with that piece of information so we can continue addressing what needs to be addressed. We are transitioning into the United Kingdom, England, and the Caribbean perspective. Dr. Khadija Williams, who's an educator, sociologist, social worker in Jamaica, principal director of the Village Academy, Jamaica director, Kuma Development Organization, Trinidad and Tobago, is here with us. And we're going to be hearing from Dr. Khadija Williams on this kind of perspective, England and the Caribbean. So providing a little more context for those who are going to be transitioning, underpinning this drive for us to be our brothers and sisters keepers, a call to action, a help, a SOS, as the British Prime Minister held the sign up and indicated. So after Dr. Williams make her presentation, Dr. Wilson, and of course, we'll come back for some closing arguments. We'll be hearing from Mr. One second, bear with me. I lost track here. Right, Mr. Perenia, Michael, that is from Lambert, will come back in to give some perspective, and then we close out with Mrs. Patricia Mackenzie Thomas. And, you know, I am dreading this part of it. I'm dreading this part because this is one of the sweetest part now. The part where the mics will be open and you need to interact with us, talk to us about this program, your specific need. Please keep it within probably a minute and a half at max, because we have limited time. We only have about 25 minutes to go. We're live on Power 106. Once again, say a big thanks to Dervan Malcolm for affording that opportunity for those to listen globally. You know, he's the diaspora champion. Power 106 is the diaspora champion station for things like this. And of course, we have to say a big shout out to Victoria Mutual Group that will be providing a lot of the financial advice for those who are making their transition, you know, financial literacy, as it is really, really important for you to, you know, as our Minister Councillor mentioned, you know, the Homer part of it, taking care of the dollars and cents, right? Taking care of you and let the dollars and cents take care of you too. All right. So I've waffled on enough to give time to Dr. Khadijah Williams.
Hi.
I think I stumbled over to that.
Yes, and thank you very much. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear.
Yes, thank you. So I want to really say thank you again to Mrs. Patricia Mackenzie Thomas for inviting me to this very important forum. And thank you, Mr. Chair, for that introduction. You know, Mrs. Mackenzie Thomas would have thought that what I have to bring to the table would be a good closing point. And I come here from Trinidadian, living in Jamaica, having spent time in the UK working and studying, but more studying. I was studying the safeguarding and child protection systems in the UK, in Sweden, in England, etc. And now I am in Jamaica, in rural Jamaica, St. Anne, working on a program which was funded initially by a UK agency. And therefore, we have to uphold a lot of the very high standards of safeguarding children and young people. So I say that so that you get some context as to where I'm coming from, and also that I have practiced in the Eastern and the Southern and Northern Caribbean, as well as a lecturer or an educator in social work at the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, Mona, even now sometimes at the Monique College. So, you know, I bring the practice and the theory perspectives, because it is very important as social workers that we are able to make that bridge between scholarship and practice. As social workers, we are interventionists, always looking for solutions to complex problems. Yeah. And I usually say to a research advocate, I'm always advocating on behalf of young people who are most times left behind. So yes, so here today, I want to just reinforce the importance of persons who may be leaving to go on this very good program, I think, after hearing all about it, and remembering that we also need to come back and fix home, or at least work at home, do like what I'm doing here in St. Anne, working with very vulnerable young people, you know, trying to bring those best practices from the UK and from other islands that we have learned and we have integrated into our practices. And we also know our challenges as well with getting the competent workers to do what is necessary as we work in these low resource settings. So what I would say, I had a PowerPoint presentation, but I think like Dr. Wilson, I want to just talk. Yeah, and this would not be too long either. And you know, sometimes we are zoomed out with all these PowerPoints. But I just want to have a natural talk with you and say, you know, I think for us in the Caribbean, the concept of safeguarding is fairly new to us. And just what I like about what One Step is doing is that you are going to be trained to understand the whole concept, the ideologies, the principles of safeguarding, the importance of empowerment and prevention, the difference between child protection and safeguarding work, and all that beautiful stuff that you'll be learning in the training to prepare you. So that we understand the global approach, the global perspective of safeguarding. Also, I'll say that, as I said, as an experienced practitioner and educator, being in the field for over 25 years, I can say confidently that the training that persons receive in the Caribbean from accredited and tertiary institutions, they have adequately prepared persons for what you are about to embark on. We have learned in social work, you learn the concepts, the theories of human behavior, you learn the theories of behavior change, and how it is that we should be able to have these practice-based theories so that we are working from an evidence-based perspective. So that is not new to us. Social workers are familiar with assessment tools. So we heard today about the genogram. Social workers are well familiar with the eco-maps and the genograms, as well as the common assessment framework, because all the training done at the universities here that have been accredited would have had to follow those international best practice standards. And yes, so I can confidently say that, with the continuous professional development and coaching and so on, persons have good baseline to work with so that you meet the standards required in the UK. Social workers are well trained to understand anti-oppressive and anti-discriminatory practices. And we have all been following what has been happening with Black Lives Matters and all the other issues in the UK and globally. This is very important so that you understand these concepts when you embark on international practice. So the social workers are well versed in those areas. And diverse, I heard about the importance of being culturally competent. Very important. I think in the Caribbean, we are, some people say, don't say experts, but we are experts in our own right of understanding the concept of Callaloo and the melting pot and working with different cultures. And yes, that is exactly how the London situation is with all the various cultures and practices. And you go in there with that kind of, preliminary background, it should not be too hard to assimilate into that setting. The legal framework is important, and yes, the social workers, law in social work is common practice, common education for us. The creativity and innovation that we bring to the table will certainly be asset to the space that you're now going into, because I'm hearing a lot from the presenters that, again, and I know personally that you will need to be very creative, be innovative, think on your spot. We well know how to work with limited resources. So we will learn more about how to do that. I know that is certainly an asset, particularly in this time. And our relationship-based approach to practice, where we just get along well with people. We have a natural way of letting people feel comfortable with us, and that is very important. And in safeguarding, where children and families are exposing a lot of their private lives to our public space, I think this is a very critical element in practice, and social workers would have learned the art of doing this. Okay? So, and then there comes the emerging issues that we are seeing today, such as the issues around asylum seekers, children who are unaccompanied in the UK, in England, the issues around childhood trauma that continues to be pervasive, the issues around transgender parents. That's something.
We'll come back to Dr. Khadija Williams after this break on both sides of the story.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
4:45.
Consumer Talks, educating and empowering consumers towards a more vigilant and confident consumer-friendly Jamaica. Join us every second and last Tuesday of each month at 9:35 on Real Business. Listen and learn about your rights and responsibilities. Learn how the CAC works to empower consumers in Jamaica. Consumer Talks, brought to you by the Consumer Affairs Commission, protecting your rights, securing our future.
All the time, all the time. I would like to find a friend who really have the love. Good friend in this world is very hard to find.
Que hora es en español? Son las 5:14. Quelle heure est-il en français? Il est 5h moins 14. Hiện tại, TDN le 5 cha 14 fen. 14 minutes to 5 o'clock in the afternoon here at Broadcast House 32 Lyndhurst Road, Kingston 5, St. Andrew, Jamaica. Good afternoon to all working Jamaicans tuned into both sides of the story here on Power 106 FM. It's a good time for us to ask ourselves, how productive have we been today? Well, it seems the International Social Work Recruitment with OSF International Social Care Services under the JA2 UK 2022 program has been very productive, and they're not finished yet. There are more presentations. In fact, right now we're going to reconnect with the feed to hear educator, sociologist, and a social worker, principal director. Well, her presentation is through. I was about to introduce Dr. Khadija Williams, but her presentation ended. One of the co-chairs for this conference, this forum, is Corey Hyde, and let's hear what he has been saying.
Before we close out as well, and we're going to invite Dr. Wilson back along with Michael Pernew Daly from Lambeth for a 1-minute closing argument and reassurance. I use the word reassurance, for this transition into the United Kingdom, having heard the various presenters before and after themselves. So we'll start with you, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you, Corey. I think the key message that I want to send to anyone who's interested in taking up this offer is really to believe in yourself and to believe in the skills that you already have, and also to have that self-assurance. Because like you, I was also sitting, listening to others talking about making the transition across. And obviously I was in different contexts, but the experience is the same. But if you are confident in what you've already gained, I came to the UK with a first degree, just like you. I believed in the education system that I'd been exposed to. And when I came across, I realized that actually we've got a better way of understanding ourselves because our communities are based around community learning. We are so much, it's actually part of our DNA to want to help others, to want to belong to a community, to want to be part of a system. So all those things that come naturally to you when you come across, those are the things that are going to make you succeed. Those are the things that are going to make you a better practitioner. And those are the things that are going to enable you to develop that resilience and to excel. So for me, all the best of luck. I'll continue supporting One Step Forward. And I didn't mention this before, but I'm attending in my personal private capacity. And my university obviously would sign into some things that I convinced them to sign on to. But I'm today here in my personal capacity. And I strongly believe that what Patricia and colleagues are doing, Corey and others, is really, really going to benefit you. And I will support in the best way that I can. So the best of luck and all the very best.
And you still haven't mentioned that Spanish tongue thing. But it's all right. When you get down here.
Wow.
It was,
it was a long journey from Montego Bay right through to Spanish Town on to Kingston Town. So that's all I'm going to say now.
Spanish Town has a very good museum. Next time you visit, make sure you check the museum out. All right. Let's hop over to Lambeth. We're in Lambeth now. Let's go.
I think you're
not sure what happened there. Perhaps we lost a bit of the connection. No, still there. All right, let's try again. Go ahead, please.
Wilson has really summed it all up in terms of, believing in the skill set that you have, the knowledge that you have, and also the experiential the experience that you carry, your life experience that will be awesome when you come over here. But I'm not trying to preach, but a scripture came to mind, and I'm not too sure if people are Christians on here, so I hope I don't offend. But a scripture came to mind where the Lord told Abraham to leave his father's home and go to a place where he will tell him. And at the time, Abraham didn't know where he was going, but he acted in faith. And I also believe that there's something about when you step into the unknown, but you believe that you're able to do it. You have your plan and you're willing to put your hand to the plow and to the field. I believe anything is possible. And I believe anything is achievable. You heard Dr. Wilson came over here with a first degree, and now he's a doctor himself. And now he leads in the social work department in Kingston University. So it's possible. It's possible. There's so much opportunities. So I'm really excited for you all. England will welcome you. You will be such an asset to places like Lambeth, places like Haringey, places like Hackney, places like Croydon, places where there are really a lot of Black communities that need people that are culturally competent, that need people that understand them, understand their culture. So I'm really looking forward. I've said to Patricia, I'm here to support in any which way that I can. So yeah, listen, go for it. That's all I can say. Go for it. So bless you all.
Thank you so much, Dudley, Mr. Dudley Sawyer.
Thank you very much. I think it's been great and really eventful event today. One thing I want to add in, and I think all the wonderful work that's been produced by One Step Forward, I think we must remember as well to be mindful of the next 6 months where UK is going to open their doors for many people to come over. So be wary of who approaches you and really look at a trusted source, because you could financially see yourself in a very struggling position. So really seek expertise from good people who are going to help you with not just with the education, but also with the help and pathway and onboarding into the UK. You've heard from the High Commission as well. So really something I think you should really look into. And I know as I work in social care as well as the social care workers, that there is going to be lower jobs, which a lot of people may be able to go through. So please do look out for it. But also, as well as I said, really look out for the wonderful expertise and knowledge you have in this room, and really do speak with your peers and those around you. So that would be my last wonderful bit of advice. So everyone, thank you very much for having me. And really, I hope to see you, if not in one of my 12 London boroughs, but across UK in some capacity. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dudley Sawyer, Chair of the Registered Managers for the London Care and Support Forum.
And on that note, can we thank you once again for the privilege of serving you on yet another edition of your program, Both Sides of the Story, for today, Thursday, the 13th of January, 2022. The Moving Finger writes, and having writ moves on, nor all your piety nor wit shall lure it back to cancel half a line, nor all your tears wash out a word of it. All things being well, both sides of the story returns tomorrow afternoon, 2 to 5. Till then, this is Dervan Malcolm reminding all of us that every day is an opportunity to do better than yesterday. Take care.
Good friends in this world is very hard to find. I know there is a future, and I've got to find a way. I want to do good all the time, all the time, all the time. Yeah, I said it once before, and I can say it once again. Things I used to do, I don't do them anymore. Place I used to go, I don't go there anymore. Yet I say it once before, and I can say it twice again. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Yeah, I made up my mind to do good all the time. 'Cause all the time I found myself walking on the line. From I was a little boy, my parents used to say, a man must do good all the time, all the time, all the time. I would like to find a friend who really had the love. A good friend in this world is very hard to find. I know there is a future, and I've got to find a way to keep on doing good all the time, all the time, all the time. We hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Well, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. I made up my mind to do good all the time. 'Cause all the time I found myself walking on the line. When I was a little boy, my parents used to say, a man must do good all the time, all the time, all the time. I would like to find a friend who really has the love. Good friend in this world is very
future, and I've got to find a way. I want it to do good all the time, all the time, all the time.
You're listening to Power 106 FM. The time is now
5 o'clock.
News, comprehensive, powerful, and credible. Power 106 FM now presents a simulcast of Radio Jamaica's news at 5.